Cuscaden Reserve has been in the news lately, especially because this luxury condo was among a number of private residential projects that got an ABSD deadline extension and even being relaunched with a price drop from 3,600 plus per square foot to 2,800 plus per square foot. And what's even crazier is since their project was launched back in 2019, only 12 out of 192 units were sold. That's a whopping 93% unsold units. Allegedly, since the relaunch and repricing, another 45 units have been sold, but it's still a very interesting case to look at. How come almost no one wants to buy this luxury condo even though it's located in a prime district around Orchard? The first problem seems to be the leasehold. If you look at surrounding condos such as Cuscaden Residence, 3 Orchard by the Park, Park Nova, etc., they are all freehold condos. There are plenty of freehold condos in District 10. So, when a potential buyer was comparing Cuscaden Reserve to surrounding projects, it became pale in comparison. The price is almost the same, even higher compared to some, but Cuscaden Reserve has a 99-year leasehold, whereas their competitors are mostly freehold. It's apparent that buyers with deep pockets prefer projects that they can pass on to their kids. I was curious, so I checked, is there a way that the developer can negotiate with the Singapore government to convert the 99-year leasehold status to be a freehold? Unfortunately, it seems like the answer is no. The leasehold limitation was part of the government land sales condition when it was announced. According to the Singapore Land Authority's website, there is this thing called lease renewal process. However, it can only be submitted after half of the lease period has passed. They did state that the government is prepared to consider such applications earlier if it involves a relatively high-density residential development. However, even if you can wiggle through that, the lease renewal apparently can only be granted up to double the original tenure. So, they can never reach the freehold status. Furthermore, this process is not free and the applicant is expected to pay a land premium. So it seems like this developer is really stuck with this 99-year leasehold thing and there's no way around it. The second problem is the super high entry price, which I think is the result of the developer bidding too high for the land. When I dug the announcement for Cuscaden land parcel bid, I was surprised to see that this developer actually bid significantly much higher versus their 8 competitors at the time. They paid $30 million more than their closest competition. At that time, it broke the record for government land sales in Singapore. Initially, the market expected that the land would get sold at around 1,800 plus per square foot, but the developer paid 2,377 per square foot just for the land. Some people say that the competition got overheated because there were 9 bidders for the land, and it's been a decade since the government sold land in that area. I mean, it's good news for the Singapore government, but this developer really put themselves in a corner. It's difficult to profit when your land price itself is already so high. Personally, I'm curious how they come up with that bid number. With the price reduction in this relaunch, clearly they are aware of this pricing issue as well, but it's yet to be proven whether this price reduction can ultimately save the developer from the stamp duty penalties. The third problem is kind of related with the second one, which is there's an upcoming competitor who bought their land for a much cheaper price. So apparently, there's another developer who just bought the Orchard Boulevard parcel of land nearby, and they are expected to launch in 2025. The location is next to the Orchard Boulevard MRT station, and it will be a mixed development. It is estimated to host around 270 residential units with 500 square meters of commercial space. It is also a 99-year leasehold project, but the developer got the land for a much lower price of 1,616 per square foot, while the developer of Cuscaden Reserve bought it at 2,377 per square foot. And seeing how Cuscaden Reserve struggles with its pricing, people are speculating that the Orchard Boulevard project will be launched with a more reasonable price tag. Looking at that, any potential buyer will look at Cuscaden Reserve and wonder, should they buy Orchard Boulevard instead? What would be the exit strategy if you bought a unit at Cuscaden Reserve? Can you break even or even make a profit, or is it a sure loss? The next problem I'm seeing, which is sadly something that is too late for the developer to fix, which is the unit mix. Cuscaden Reserve consists of 1 bed plus study up to 3 bed plus study. There are no 4 or 5 bedroom apartments. Looking at the percentage, it seems like the majority of the units is 2-bed and 2-bed plus study. Initially, I thought, okay, maybe it's 2 bedrooms, but the apartment is really huge. But when I look at the chart again, no, their sizes are less than 1,000 square foot. During the initial launch, before repricing, a 1-bed unit was priced from 2.3 million, while a 2-bed unit starts from 2.7 million. If you put it into context given the unit sizes and the 99-year leasehold status, you can see why only 12 units were sold after the initial launch. It's just way too expensive. Can you get away with that price tag? Maybe if the units are larger and freehold, otherwise it's really a tough sell. Problem number 5 is the recent ABSD change and the high interest rates. In April 2023, the ABSD for foreigners was increased to 60%. And guess who usually buys luxury condos? Foreigners! But with such a high ABSD, it is understandable that most foreigners are reluctant to buy a property in Singapore. The global economic status nowadays is also uncertain, with rising interest rates, wars in Europe and the Middle East, etc. All of these factors come into play as even wealthy people are being cautious with their spending. Although these problems are not unique to Cuscaden Reserve, it certainly doesn't help. Problem number 6 seems to be related to marketing. Before their relaunch is on the news, have you ever heard of Cuscaden Reserve? I didn't. Small luxury projects often rely on property agents to use their network to find suitable buyers and market their own listings. And while the potential commission is high due to the high price of the units, agents face the risk of spending a lot of money with zero results. This is different from the mass market condo launches, where the developers usually put more effort into marketing on their own and advertise the condo on public transport, roadshows, etc. Of course, they will still work with agents as well, but mass market condos set aside considerable marketing budgets to make their project name known in the public. With not much known about Cuscaden Reserve, and even with the lower price, it will take a long runway for the market to be aware of the project. So, should you buy Cuscaden Reserve? If you purely want to buy it for your own stay and not worry about reselling it in the future, 2,800 per square foot for a new condo in Orchard is actually interesting. Before, even Nensuria, which is located in Ulu compared to Cuscaden Reserve, is already selling up to 2,400 per square foot. However, if you are focused on investment, Cuscaden Reserve's fundamentals make future demands uncertain. People will use the relaunch price of 2,800 per square foot as the baseline, so it will take a while for the price to appreciate, if that will even happen. Ultimately, this is a niche project for a limited group of buyers. It would be interesting to see whether the developer will give even further discounts if they still have unsold units closer to the ABSD extension date. So, what do you think? Would you buy this project if it's cheaper? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!